everyone, my name is Keith Beavers and I'm the Tastings Director of VinePair. And today we're going to talk about two wines I want to highlight from our Best of Grüner Veltliner list 2023. But as always, you just have to subscribe. Grüner Vetliner. It is a native variety to Austria. It's grown all over the wine regions of Austria, but it does so well in the United States. And we only know this recently from a new generation of winemakers planting it, listening to the soil and listening to the land and planting what works. And it's Grüner Veltliner. We'll start in Long Island, New York. One woman wine. And Claudia is actually from Calabria. She grew up with her dad on the farm, learning how to make wine, learning how to grow vines. She left Calabria, came to the United States. She ended up in Long Island and she opened a restaurant. She sells her restaurant. She buys a potato and melon field across from her home in 2001 and single-handedly, I mean, she had a little bit of help, but single-handedly builds a vineyard over years. And this is the result of that. Oh, screw cap. We love screw caps. I love Grüner Veltliner. I love Austrian Grüner Veltliner. It's such a refreshing wine. And this wine not only emulates that, but has its own vibe, its own personality. Because it's from Long Island and it's from the New World, you often just get a little bit more weight in a wine, a little bit more concentration of fruit. You get these classic sort of lemon zesty vibes, a little bit of white pepper. I say white pepper because it's kind of like, you know, when you smell white pepper, it's a little bit kind of high toned. It's not as like dense as like black pepper or something like that. You know, I'm gonna say this a lot when we taste white wines, but you just can't deny it. Sliced apples and sliced pears, like the juiciest of slices, the juiciest of apples and pears. That's what you get on the nose. So it's a little bit waxy, nice and minerally, good lemon zest, and apples and pears. Yes! Another thing about Grüner Veltliner, the nose is subtle, but sometimes the mouthfeel is wide. What's really great about this wine is when you smell the minerality and the lemon zest, it really draws you in. You're like, oh, this is gonna be refreshing, this is so cool. Then you take a sip of it, and yeah, it's refreshing, it's cool, but it has a little bit of a grip to it, has a little bit of weight on the palate, and that pear fruit kind of sits there and kind of lets the wine have some complexity while the extremely active acidity bursts through the wine, not allowing it to overwhelm the palate. This is not only refreshing, but it has enough depth to it that's really great with food. And I'm talking like Long Island here. So we're talking like fish, oysters, fish fillets. This wine would be like perfect. Because of the absolute balance and harmony of this wine, and because it's a New World Grüner Veltliner, I gave this one a 90. Next, we're staying on the East Coast. We're going a little bit south. We're going to Virginia. We're going to the Commonwealth. Grüner Veltliner is killing it in Virginia. This wine comes from Monticello or Monticello, however you want to call it, in Albemarle County in Virginia. It's an AVA in Virginia. Blenheim Vineyards is named after a very historical farmhouse on the property. It's been around for quite some time. Some of the founding fathers have stopped by there. It's one of the, it's a heritage site. And the surrounding vineyards with the historical site is pretty amazing because Thomas Jefferson was part of all this. Albemarle County was where he did all of his stuff. This is where Monticello was. His home was Monticello or Monticello. And he was the president who always wanted our nation to be a wine-growing, wine-producing nation. So it's just kind of great to see this here in the vineyards surrounding it. But like I mentioned in previous videos, the history of Virginia wine is really important, but what's more important is what's happening right now. And the thing about Blenheim Vineyards, Christy Harmon, who's the winemaker there, is 100% focused on sustainability. This new generation of winemakers, that's the first thing they think about when they're planting vines, when they're maintaining vines, when they're replanting vines. And the goal here for this winery is to make nice, refreshing, fruit-forward wines. And this one is it. Let's taste it. Screw cap. Okay. A little bit of color on that one. A little bit deeper than the last one, just different. Virginia, New York, it's different. Now here, that sort of waxy vibe, that sort of like zesty vibe, there's a little bit more density on the nose. You really there's an earthiness, it kind of draws you in a little bit. And then after that sort of dense fruit, you get the lemon zest. So it's almost like the lemon zest is kind of mingling with the depth of fruit on the nose. It's pretty amazing. The balance is just on the nose. I mean, you're like, this wine's balanced. You don't even have to know about wine and smell this wine, like, this wine's balanced. There is a richness on this Grüner Veltliner. There is a grip to the palate. There is a deep fruit, but there is an acidity that is almost undetectable because it's so well put together. When a wine is refreshing but not zippy, you know the acidity is just right because it's just lifting up that weight of the palate and allowing you to enjoy the wine. This is the thing about Grüner Veltliner. In its home in Austria, there are two styles of Grüner Veltliner. There is sort of a bistro style, which is a very kind of casual, laid back, very zippy wine. And then there is the age-worthy Grüner Veltliner. This is kind of right in the middle. It has a very cool, casual, laid-back, fruit-forward vibe, but this wine also has an ability, I think, to age a little bit. You can tell the structure of this wine is going to change a little bit as it sits in the bottle. So because this wine walks that fine line between casual and age-worthy, because it has such a nice depth to it, I gave it a 92. Make sure to check the list in the link below. We have a lot of great Grüner Veltliners to try. But just to recap here, 2 Grüner Veltliners from outside of its homeland, but doing well in the United States on the East Coast. You have Long Island, one woman, Claudia, killing it, doing it by herself with a little bit of help, but not really, making amazing and also age-worthy Grüner Veltliner. Then you have Blenheim Vineyards from Virginia. Refreshing, kind of casual, but it walks that fine line, has some ageability to it as well. I'm Keith Beavers, I'll see you soon.